Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Why This Works. So today I'm going to discuss about list data structures in Python. So this topic is divided into three parts. In first part, I'll be doing the introduction, list slicing and indexing. In second part, I'll be discussing about list methods and list comprehension. In third part, I'll continue with list methods and nested list. So let's move ahead. Let's start this with an example. So suppose there's a student Ram, he has scored 50 marks in Python. So how you're going to store it? You take a variable, or in Python specifically if you say this is a name, and in this variable I'm storing a particular value that is 56. Let's say the marks of Ram scored in Python is 56. So I can write something like this. You don't have to write any data type along with it. So that's perfect. Okay. Now let's see the same thing I have to do for Sham. So Sham, let's say, has scored 89 in Python. So the score is 89 for Sham. Let's say there's another variable. There's another student, Sita, whose marks I'm going to store like this. Alright. So you can see here, I have to create n number of names, n number of variables to store these marks. So what if I have to store all these marks at a single place, not a single place, you can say, as a collection of numbers, okay, as a in a container, as a collection of these objects, if I have to store these marks. So using a single variable or using a single name. So is it possible? Yes, it is very much possible that you have been doing in Java, C, C++ using arrays, right? So when we talk about array is what? It is a collection of numbers you say, right? So if I say, let's say there is an array marks and where I can store these numbers at a single, using a single variable name, okay, as a collection of these objects. So we know that everything in Python is an object. So 56 itself is not a number. It is not a variable name. It is not a variable. It is an object. It is integer object. This is integer object. This is integer object. So I can make a collection by storing numbers like this using comma, and the third one is 76. So by writing something like this, I'm using a single name, and in this name itself, I'm storing these three objects. So this is what collection of. Now this becomes what? Collection of objects. So you can clearly see here when we use this parenthesis to denote that this is a list. Okay, this is a representation, or you can say this is a syntax of a list in Python. And by using these commas, I can store n number of objects. All right. So if I simply put square bracket over here, it means I'm trying to create a list which has 0 elements right now. Okay, later on I can add other elements, but right now I don't have any objects in it. It is of 0 length. So let's remove it, and this is my list right now. So if I print and the type of marks, if I print the elements of marks and if I print the type of marks, see what will be the answer. It is saying the marks itself contains these three elements, these three objects. And what is the type of marks? It is of list type. Okay. So I hope this point is clear, where we have represented, where we have created a list or an array by using these square brackets and using comma operator, right? And the type we have checked using this type function, and we have got what? List, right? Now the second point is, so we can say it is a collection of arbitrary objects. So first of all, what do you mean by arbitrary objects? It means currently I'm trying to store only what? Integers here. Can I store a different type of element over here, different type of object over here? So in Python, it is very much possible, right? Unlike normal arrays in Java or C, where we can store only homogeneous types, here we can store heterogeneous objects as well. For example, I want to store the name of the student along with his marks and let's say his address ABC XYZ. So this is like the address, let's say, of student Ram. And let's say the salary also I would like to, some stipend the student is taking 0.00 something like that. Okay. So Can I store something like that in a list? Yes, this is also very much possible. If I print, you'll get what? This again, it's a list which has what? RAM, which is a string object, 56 integer object, string object, float object. So different type of objects I've stored in this variable in this name marks, right? So this is also very much possible. So let's again go back to the definition. It is a collection of arbitrary objects, much like an array in other programming languages. So I hope this point is clear. And how we can store it, how we can define a list by enclosing a comma, see, separated sequence of objects in square brackets. So we know this is a square bracket, and we know these are what? This is a sequence of objects. First object, second object, third object. So it is becoming what? It is a sequence. So how we can store it? Using a comma separated sequence of objects in square brackets. So this is a basic definition of strings in Python, list in Python. So moving back to the next topic is what? Arbitrary ordered. Okay, the meaning of ordered. So the important characteristics of Python lists are ordered, and it can contain any arbitrary objects. It can be accessed by index. Okay, let's understand all these points one by one. All right. Again, the first one is it is an ordered collection of objects. What is the meaning of this point is the order used when defining a list is maintained. Let's understand again this point, the example. Here we can say list is not merely a collection of objects. We have already seen list is a collection of objects, but it is not just collection of objects. It is an ordered collection of objects. It means suppose I'm specifying the marks in a particular order. The marks of first student, marks of second student, marks of third student, fourth student, fifth student. So I've stored these marks in a particular order. According to me as a programmer, I have stored these marks in a particular order, and I want the same order. It should be in the same order to be stored in memory, right? So if I talk about list data type, this order in which I am giving the marks, I am specifying the marks, it is going to store in the memory in the same order. So if I retrieve the marks at position third, right? If I say at position third, I want to retrieve the marks. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I retrieve the marks of a third person or the marks at position 3, I'll get what? 87 all the time. Okay, if I just print it again. So this value is not going to be changed because in the same order it is stored in the memory also. Alright, so the meaning is the order in which you specify the elements, and the list is going to be maintained in the same order throughout its lifetime. Okay, in the memory also it is stored like that. But there is a data type which does not follow the same order, which does not it is unordered collection of objects. That we'll see very soon. But a list is what? It is an ordered collection of objects. So this point is clear. In the same order, I'm going to get the value. Now, if I say next point is list can contain arbitrary objects. That I've already told you, but all the points are not clear. The first is it can be of same type. The elements or the objects which are present inside a list, they can be of same type. It can be of varying type, means it can be integer, float, complex number, any type of data, string type of data. It can also have complex objects. For example, functions, classes, modules. Now, what is the meaning of this? If I see it can even have complex. So we have already seen there is a list. So one more example I am taking. The list contains one integer number, one float number, one string. So this is very much possible. If I print the type of L, it is still a list. All right. And these are the elements. And what if I want to store complex types, for example, functions, classes, and modules? We know that, let's take an example, len. Len is a function in Python, length, that we can say function. And let's take one more example. If I say max is also a function in Python. Okay, this is also a function. And let's say I create a function using def, the syntax, and there is m1. Okay, do not worry about the syntax. This is a syntax for creating functions in Python. Right, everything is same. I've written just pass. Pass means nothing. No function definition is there. So I'm simply writing what? Pass. So let's say this executed. So I've just named length, max, and m1. Three things I am going to represent inside a list. So let's take a list and let's include all these names over here. Can I do that? Let's execute it and print the type of health and the length, the list itself. So yes, it is possible to store even complex types inside a complex objects inside a list. So if you can check, the type is still a list, it is still a list, and these are the values which are stored inside a list. Alright, so this is the meaning of it can contain any number of objects from zero. One more thing, it can store any number of any type of object. There is no such thing as homogeneity. There is heterogeneous objects. It can be anything, and it can contain any number. There is no such limitation on the number of objects that you can store in a list. Okay, as much as your memory allows. So in this way, I can make use of this statement. This statement is clear, I guess. So next part is a list objects need not be unique. Yes, this is again a very important point over here. You can have duplicate objects inside a list. So if I say marks, let's take the same list which we were referring to earlier. So let's take there's a list marks. And what if two students they have scored same marks in Python 54? Can I represent, can I store such type of values in a list? Yes, you can very well represent these values in a list because list allows duplicate values. Alright. So whenever you need, you have such type of requirement where you have to store duplicate objects in a particular data type, then you can very well make use of list. So yes, I can print the value. I'll get what 54, 54 in the same order. See, order is always maintained. All right. Next, list elements can be accessed by index. Yes, if you have to access the value of access the elements of a list, how we are going to access it? So let's go back to PPT. Let's take this example, list indexing. So this is a list A where we have these elements, these objects. So all these objects are what? In the form of strings. And then if you have to see the indexes, the list index starts with 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I have to access ham, this particular object, then I have to give the index. What? 4. So A of 4 is ham. Alright. Similarly, as you have studied slice negative indexing in strings, the same negative indexing is applicable for list as well, right? So if I have to retrieve the objects, retrieve the second last object, okay, I can simply, suppose the list is very large, 100 elements are stored over here. So if I have to retrieve quickly the second last element, I can simply retrieve the element from the last index, from the by slicing from the right hand side. Okay, so -1 means the last value, -2 means the second last value, third last, and so on, right? So quickly, when you are working with a very large list and I want to retrieve the second last element, I can, instead of using this number 99 or something 98, I can simply use -2. So negative indexing is very much possible in case of list as well. The same thing is applicable for what? Strings also, that we have already seen, right? So this is fine. We can take example over here. Okay, the same example I'm taking. This is my marks, and what if I have to retrieve the value 2? I'll get what? 0, 1, and 2. That's fine. And if I say marks of -1, okay, then I'll get what? This index, okay, -1, the last one. If I say marks of, let's say, 100, what do you think the output is? So 100th element is obviously not there. This index is not there. So you are going out of bounds. Okay. So this error you will get index error. This is list index out of range. All right. And other thing is, what if you have, you'll let me know the answer. -3 till, let's say, -1. What will be the answer in this case? Can you guess? This is again what? This comes under indexing. Okay, this will come under slicing. Let's not confuse you with this index. I'll let you know what slicing is and then I'll ask this question, okay, once again. So right now I think this much is clear. 0th means first element, negative means the last one, -2 means second last element, and so on. And if you give an index which is not applicable, right, which is going beyond the limits, then it will give you index error, that is index out of range. So this is something regarding how you can access the element of a list. Next we'll talk about slicing. So very, very important concept, slicing, that you have studied in strings as well, right? Slicing in strings, slicing in Python is the same. So let's take an example. First, I'll do the PPT to make it more clear. Okay, let's take this example where I have again a list with these index values and these are the objects. So if I say slice the list, in slicing you have to give at least, there is what? Colon you have to give. The left hand side you'll give the starting position, right hand side you'll give the end position. Okay, from 2, from second index to fifth index I have to retrieve the values. So you can see the green colored items over here that you are retrieving using this particular slice values. So 2 means from second index to fifth index. So 5 is exclusive here. So we'll go till 5 minus 1, that is 4. So when I say A 2 colon 5, it means from second position you are going to retrieve the value till 5 minus 1, that is 4. So what all values you'll get? Bacon, tomato and ham. Alright, so this way you can perform list slicing. So I'll take an example over here. Let's take the same marks, and if I write marks, you use what? Colon and starting index and the end index. So if I say second is the starting index and 5 is the end index, what I'll get? I'll get 0, 1, 2. This 2, 3 and 4. These three values, because 5 is what? Exclusive. Alright. So in this way, I get these three values as a list. See, as a list, I am getting these values. Now, next part is, what if I have to, the other versions as well. If I do negative indexing, okay, returns both positive and negative, okay. What if I do not specify anything? What if the first index is 0, nothing is there at the left hand side, and at the right hand side 5 is written? The meaning of this is you'll start from the beginning. If nothing is specified, it means you'll start from the starting, from the first position, that is 0th index. So if I say nothing means start from the 0th index till 5 minus 1. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you are going to get all these elements. Alright. Similarly, if I write nothing at the right hand side and let's say 2 at the left hand side, then you'll get what? You start from this position but till end of the list. There is no such limit. It means you'll go till end of the list, right? So you'll get what? 0, 1, 2 from this position till end of the list. So you'll get these values. But if I write marks of length of marks. This is also applicable. Why? Because length of marks, length of this list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many elements are there? 6 elements are there. So I am saying you start from the very beginning till 6. 6 means n minus 1. So what will be the answer? This is till. Now why 54? Because the length of the string is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But your index is what? The last index is 5. So automatically 6 minus 1 becomes 5. So you are going to get all the values, right?